Oh God. The campaign is underway and the PM is ready for a showdown.
Anthony Albanese straight into enemy territory, Peter Dutton's seat of Dixon.
Was that Peter Dutton? I thought it was bigger. And though we've just started, 7 News were already in mid-campaign form with their overwrought visual metaphors.
The clock ticking on his bid to win over outer urban voters, bagging out his opponent's plan.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say he was teabagging the PM. Another election tradition hit this week as Sky News brought out the groundhog to predict 5 more weeks of suffering.
The electorate's more volatile, but you can't ignore history.
Oh, give yourself some credit. You were always great at it. And with the cost of living at the forefront of all of our minds all the time as we stay up at night dry heaving about how much everything is and wondering where all the eggs have gone, the opposition leader was focused on his own housing crisis.
The opposition leader, Peter Dutton, has declared where he wants to live if he becomes our next Prime Minister. The Queenslander nominating the glorious views of Sydney Harbour at Kirribilli House.
It takes Sydney any day over Canberra.
Well, it's a hell of a commute, but I know how much you hate people working from home. Of course, that comment was made on the Carl and Jackie O show, so he may have thought only Sydney-siders would hear it. At least we know no one in Melbourne was listening. While the current Prime Minister hit out at price gouging, which is when... Sorry, what is price gouging?
Price gouging is when supermarkets are taking the piss off Australian consumers. That's what it is.
Hey, that's my piss. How dare you take it off me? But I did love this woman's joy at hearing the Prime Minister say the word piss. So we're fixing the gouging. Sounds like a piece of piss. What's the plan?
The plan? To establish a task force led by Treasury and the Consumer Watchdog that will have 6 months to examine what laws other countries have, including the UK and EU, and come up with some laws of their own.
Cop that, supermarkets. Your time is up in 6 months after they do a Google search that takes like 5 minutes and then copy and paste the results. Then you will be answerable to the Consumer Watchdog, the same one that didn't actually accuse you of price gouging. While on Sky News, there were questions about the only thing more important than putting food on the table.
What will the coalition do to tackle the woke agendas that are being pushed through our education system?
We do provide funding to the state governments and we can condition that funding. And we should be saying to states and we should be saying to those that are receiving that funding that we want our kids to be taught the curriculum and we want our kids to be taught what it is they're needed to take on as they face the challenges of the world.
Okay, so far we've described a school, but specifically what lessons or units are you concerned about having a woke agenda?
Could I ask specifically what lessons or units you're concerned about having a woke agenda?
I want to make sure that our kids, whether they're at primary school or secondary school or indeed young Australians who are at universities, are receiving the education that their parents would expect them to receive. And our position will reflect community standards in relation to what is being taught at our schools and our universities.
Very specific. Perhaps you should start with statistics, which I think is being taught with an agenda. How else do you explain the mathematicians at the Australian depicting the Coalition's 37% as this massive wedge, while the Greens and Independents' 24%, or about 2/3 of that amount, being shown as this tiny little piece of pie, oh so small, oh so cute. And a campaign really wouldn't be underway without this traditional screw-up.
In a post calling out his old party, the Nationals, the first comment is full of praise, but it also appears to come from his own account. The Sandra G apparently telling Andrew G it's helped him to see who the good guy is.
Bad mistake, but easy enough to solve. One of you can be Andrew G and we'll just call the other one Osher. All right, I'm going back to bed.